What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going through the fastest and most consistent way to get Dark Matter or DM Ultra in Black Ops Cold War. Today we're not necessarily going to be going through each individual class and all of their challenges, as I have already done weapon guides to get each class gold, or at least any of the classes that have different challenges anyway. So if you're looking for the individual camo challenges, then be sure to check out those on the channel. But in today's video, I'm mostly going to be going through the best order in which to do these guns so that you can get them done as fast as possible. Now keep in mind that this isn't the only order to do them in or anything like that. At the end of the day, you can do them however you feel like it, but this is just what worked well for me. And although it did take me around 4 months from launch in order to get Dark Matter, that wasn't so much because I was doing it wrong or in the wrong order or anything. That was mostly the fact that I run 2 different YouTube channels and study full time. So unfortunately I just don't have all day to grind camos as much as I'd like to, but I still managed to get Dark Matter done in just under 5 days of multiplayer playtime, which equates to just over 100 hours. So anyway, without wasting any more time, if this video does help you out, then be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. But with that out of the way, let's get stuck right into it. So where I personally started on my Dark Matter grind was with the launchers and the specials, which are the knife and the M79 grenade launcher. These 4, or maybe 3 because the knife is actually super easy, are definitely the hardest and most frustrating weapons to get gold in the game. They obviously force you to play the game in a way that you likely never would, and honestly it feels like you spend about 25 to 30% of your grind just getting these done before the rest come really easily. Now the reason I started with these was because there are 2 kinds of different sections with the launchers, one section being related to kills and the other section being related to taking out score streaks. What I did was I essentially just tried to get all of the kill related camos done as soon as I could, and once those are done, you can pretty much just finish the rest of the camos off while you're also doing some other weapons, which speeds up the process quite a bit. Once I had those kill challenges done, which were the regular kills, 2 kill streaks and rapid kills, then I essentially just started grinding some other weapons, mostly my SMGs. I'd grind the SMG camos most of the game, but then each time a new score streak was called in, I simply took it out with my launcher, and therefore I'm essentially grinding 2 weapons per game. So that right there is why it's so important to do the launchers first, just to get the hard stuff done, and then passively do the score streaks so that you're not spending game after game just sitting in the spawn waiting for score streaks. The other reason I personally think it's best to do these early is because late in the grind it really does become challenging and honestly painful at times, and I can assure you, you do not want to have these sitting around waiting to be finished later on in the grind when you're kind of getting sick of it. So getting them out of the way early was a really great feeling, and honestly it gives you a big sigh of relief knowing that the hard part is finally done and that the rest of the grind is only going to get easier. Now once you're done, you're going to have 2 classes down, those being the launchers and the specials, and then you're likely going to have half of your SMGs done since you were grinding those while you finished off the launchers. So at that point I'd recommend just finishing off the SMGs, considering they are halfway done anyway. Despite the SMGs being some of the better weapons in the game, their challenges were some of the most frustrating to me, mostly the long shots and the point blank kills, and so just like the launchers, I'd recommend getting these done simply for the fact that you're getting some of the more annoying ones out of the way. The way that I did my weapons was almost hardest to easiest in a way, with just a few changes in there to keep me sane, and so yeah, like I mentioned with the launchers, getting the SMGs done early is definitely a good idea as well, since they do force you to play the game differently than how you normally would with an SMG. Now the shotguns are pretty much the exact same as the SMGs, although definitely a little bit easier since you only need to get 2 of them gold. So I actually did these ones next simply for the fact that I was already in the groove of doing those point blank kills, so I thought I may as well just finish the only other weapons that require them. Now when I did the shotguns, the Street Sweeper wasn't out yet, so I did the Howler and the Gallo, but if you're not too worried about which ones you're actually going to get gold, I would definitely recommend getting the Gallo and the Street Sweeper gold, just due to the fact that they are semi-automatic and have larger magazines, so they're definitely a little bit easier to use. Next up I did the snipers, since they're a little bit unique in a way, and also because once these are done, the 4 remaining classes are definitely the 4 easiest classes to get done. And not only that, but this was also pretty much the midway point, and so getting these out of the way really made it feel like I was on the home stretch. I would definitely recommend doing the M82 first, just because that thing is absolutely terrible and you will definitely get frustrated with it. I did it last and it felt like it took as long as the other 2 combined, so yeah, just like the order of the classes, I would definitely recommend just doing hardest to easiest so that you can kind of get them out of the way. Sometimes if you have the hardest one left until last, it can feel like a real chore to get through it after having already done the previous weapons. Now at this point we're 5 out of 9 classes in, and this is where you really are on the home stretch. The pistols and LMGs only have 3 weapons each, and the tac rifles are probably the easiest in the game, so going by the same rule I mentioned before of hardest to easiest, I went with the assault rifles to simply get them out of the way. The assault rifles are kind of weird because they're really easy other than one single camo challenge, which is the cover shots. You'll fly through these ARs like they're nothing, but then they can can often feel like a drag towards the end because those cover shots are so inconsistent and they sometimes require you to camp quite a bit. So yeah, even though these ones are mostly pretty easy, it was still good to get them out of the way. Up next was then the tactical rifle, since they're some of the easiest to do, and I kind of threw these ones in here rather than at the end simply for two reasons. One, the AUG meta was dominating Warzone, so I kind of just wanted to use my Diamond AUG and M16 in Warzone. And then two, and the most important reason, because I was definitely getting pretty tired of the grind at this point, and I essentially just wanted to throw myself a bone by doing some of the easier ones. I think that's something that's pretty important to note about this whole order that I've mentioned. If you ever feel like you're getting pretty tired of the grind, then it is definitely worth just sort of changing it up and focusing on one of the easier classes instead, just to sort of remind yourself of the fun of it all and check an easy one off the list. So yeah, don't let this order be set in stone. Do them in whatever order you feel like if this order isn't as enjoyable as you'd like it to be, because even though it is a crazy grind and it's literally meant to be one of the hardest things to do in the game, it is still a game and it's meant to be fun, so don't push yourself too hard to where you don't enjoy it. Now at this point the only ones left were the LMGs and the pistols, and since I'd been in the groove of doing the ARs and then the TAC rifles, which all have the same challenges as the LMGs, I went with the LMGs and got these ones out of the way next. The LMGs are really fun to do and were definitely some of the easiest. In hardcore these things are so dominant if you just sort of slow down a bit and play a little bit more campy to get those challenges done. So getting these out of the way was pretty enjoyable, and once they are done, the pistols are the last ones on the list. Now these ones are without a doubt the easiest in the game just because they require so many less kills. There are only 3 and they have pretty much the same challenges as the ARs, except they only require like half or even a third of the amount of kills per camo. So honestly, you're probably going to get these ones done in a single sitting or maybe 2 sittings at most. I started with the Magnum since it is definitely the hardest of the 3, then I went with the Diamati and then finished on the 1911, and at that point I was finally done with the grind. Now one thing I want to mention, since I've seen it discussed a lot before, is why I do them in classes all at once rather than sort of chopping and changing. For example, maybe getting 1 SMG gold, 1 AR gold, 1 LMG gold, and then sort of going in a bit of a rotation like that. The reason I did them all in pretty much the same class at a time was because you really do get into the groove of sort of doing each camo challenge, and I found it best to actually just stay in that groove and get them done one class at a time. For example, the point blank kills on the SMGs and shotguns, those camos really force you to pretty much rush and flank enemies so that you can get behind them and literally stick your gun in their back before killing them. And so because they require such a specific and niche playstyle, I kind of just made that my playstyle for a few weeks, where I was getting each of them done rather than sort of getting used to that playstyle then changing to another playstyle for the ARs, for example. At the end of the day, I don't think it really matters all that much. You can honestly just do any weapon in any order and still get it done, but I just think this is the optimal way to get it done, as you kind of just get in that groove and get the weapons done faster. So you honestly might save yourself a solid 10 to 20 hours doing it this way, which for me was super important since I barely had any time on my hands to get these done. On such a long grind like this, wiping say 5 hours off the roughly 120 hour total seems so insignificant, and it just doesn't really seem like it requires focus, but 5 hours is still 5 hours no matter which way you look at it. So hopefully this guide can help you guys cut down on your hours and get it done a little faster than you otherwise would have. If I can help save even 2 hours off your grind, then I will consider my job here done. But anyway, that is going to do it for this one, guys. If this video helped you out, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.